That's what you want to do.
They did up there. Yeah.
Some sort of notice, that's probably my two.
What now?
13 or 14% for.
Bob's zooming in.
Bob is zooming in, she said.
You better change the name to get people confused.
Yeah,
You might even figure it out.
I can make everybody mad at Bob.
This will make you old.
But maybe I ask you something.
Uh-oh, what'd I do this time?
Remember years ago when Jack Elliott had that cabin over on the other side of the hill here?
Jack Elliott. Name sounds familiar, but,
If you go up the road, over the hill, down the house on the right,
okay.
he's a public contractor. I worked on that quite a bit.
Did you?
I met all you guys at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a lot younger then. I didn't mean to tell you.
As you come up just before, you talk about that first road to the right.
Well, yeah, it goes over that hill, it goes up like
Last
this
payment
now.
we got was one.
Which one calls live on the left there,
So it's a bit down. from the last
Mr.
report.
Rutherford, or still.
I just-
The Dr. Dembski or
Well, where was his at? I remember the name.
Dembski's was at the end, once you went into the woods. At that last castle, you went through a bunch
Oh,
of
that's up
woods
further.
and then you opened up into an open area and it was on the left. But then you had, there's about, as soon as you come into the woods, you go up a little ways, maybe 100 yards, and then there's a road that goes to the right, that goes. all the
Well, this
way
one-
up to the carriage.
Just up, as you get started, it went off and up the side of the hill. up.
Oh, okay, I know, you go off to the left, over the hill, yeah.
And then to the right, there was a cabin set right there.
Okay, it was, in the crook of that little, draw was Yuri, who they are now. Then you had Shirley,
Don't you
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
Turley?
yeah, Shirley, and then there's somebody else before Shirley now, I don't know who's over. Everybody on that whole string there has changed
Oh,
names
what's,
so many times.
I don't remember when he changed hands, but. I remember, went down there and I dug a water line clear from the creek up to the house, to that's where you got his drink water. I mean,
Well, I think
thinking about, you can't do that nowadays.
Oh,
but
no,
they
hell
did
no.
then.
You have to clean it.
Minutes and
I mean, I used to, well, we didn't get a well to until.
It's being order.
It's just a workshop, so we don't do.
Well, that's.
And so. Wants to take this over in terms of what we're doing here.
I'll say really quickly, I printed out both general fund and capital fund, highlighting the changes you guys all talked about at our last budget workshop. So I put in the additional payroll, so everything highlighted in yellow was what was changed. Today, we're really just kind of looking at capital, to see if we can support what Barry is wanting with help with the town. So that's the general idea. Melanie's got it up on the large screen, so this is just a draft of an amended budget. I made a whole separate document, so we're not actually amending it today, we're just looking to see how we can support Barry based on what he told us at the last meeting. But I did want you guys to see the changes. And somewhere in general fund, we're gonna have, when we amend it, we're gonna have to put the $10,000 contribution to Round Mountain. So I just put a note about that. That can't come out of capital, so.
We made a resolution about the capital contribution. Now, all that, it's all, the effective pounds cleaned out. So, they did that with county money. They asked us for $5,000 and we said, let's do 10, 75, so somebody said 7,500. I don't, Silver Cliff hasn't done anything. I don't know that they're gonna do anything. I talked to Dave Schneider and he's supposed to give them a presentation. It's not on his agenda yet, so. So I don't know, I mean, we're trying to conserve funds, they asked us for 5, I'd agree with 5, I mean, if it's 10, what you guys wanna do is fine with me. But it'd have to be a resolution at the next board meeting, which is next Tuesday, I don't know if we can get on the agenda.
Yeah, I can, I mean, you guys voted and approved the
Yeah.
the 10K.
I understand that, and I understand, so, I mean, we're asking for, and then we're another $5,000 to support Barry's project. So we might wanna just say, okay, 5 for Round Mountain and 5 for, actually, it's to the county, we pay the $5,000 to. Cause they're the ones who funded the whole $40,000 to get those ponds drained, cleaned out. That's all done. So, I was, Bill Canada came and asked us for $5,000, you remember that?
Sure.
And we bumped it to 10. So, we have another 5 we gotta come up with for Barry.
I thought it was 10 for Barry.
No, it's 5. I think it's 10 for the county, 5 for each town.
And that can come out of capital.
Yeah.
The Round Mountain donation will
Yeah.
have to come out general, but all Barry's stuff can be out of capital.
So. We'd have to put, what do you wanna do? I mean, we can go all through this and find out where we are, maybe that's the best thing to do, so you see if we got that extra $5,000. But if we, that's just for your consideration, I'm just bringing it up as if I were doing it, I'd just say, they asked us for 5, and we gave them 5.
Well, we did pass the motion,
I know that,
and I hate to go back. I would rather see a full,
let's see where we are then at the end of the meeting.
well, yeah, I mean, if we have to, can't we take it out of reserve? I know nobody wants to start a tendency to do that, but these were extraordinary circumstances, both for Barry and for the Round Mountain. It's not something we envisioned in the original
No, we
budget.
didn't plan either of those. And all I'm saying, I mean, if we don't wanna change it, we're at 10, leave it at 10. I'm just suggesting, because of the,
So we're clear.
well, just because it's, we got all this, we have to look at all and see where we are financially, and everything is squeezing us, so. And plus we have to have cash. The way DOLA works is that we have to have made the expenditure, then they'll reimburse us. So let's say we hire an engineer for $50,000 on this project. Now, I don't remember what's in the grant budget, but anyway, let's say it's 50. And they submit a bill for 50. Aaron's gotta fund that out of our cash. And then we submit a bill to DOLA, and they pay us back. That's the way that works. They don't pay us back, what they do is they pay their portion back. So it was 80%, is that it? There's 20% on us and whatever it was, so, but anyway, so we'll start seeing funds drain down from our funds because of the DOLA grant. It was a match, we had either 20 or 25% match, I can't remember the number right now. We have it in our, I was just looking at those documents a minute ago, but the point of it is that the cash flow on our part is gonna be, and then we gotta do Barry's too. And so if we have to cash flow that whole thing, while he does this thing, so he wants $100,000 from DOLA. If he gets it, there's another $100,000 that we're gonna have to cash flow until he's up and running. We'll get paid back, but still in all, it just takes, it will glide into our reserves, because we don't have that kind of cash flow anymore.
I mean, after the changes in capital, that's the 280,000 is what we're left with.
Yeah.
We have 280,000 left in reserves.
No, and the capital fund, after I made all the changes, took out all Caleb's old stuff. I mean, the $5,000 isn't a big deal, it's the grant being, just, he's using us to facilitate the grant. And like Paul said, I mean, $100,000, we get reimbursed, but it
Yeah,
comes
pay-
out of
Gotta pay that first.
us initially, yeah.
The other thing is, I talked to Randy, and I don't think I told him, maybe I didn't tell you this, that, we can charge for administering this. So if, you know, we're just gonna charge DOLA back, if Barry submits a bill for 5,000 and we pay it, you know, we pay it, DOLA's gonna get billed for 5,500 or whatever Erin decides to charge him for her time. I think that's appropriate. And we're gonna tell Barry that too.
Do they have does DOLA have a standard, like, maybe they say 10%? I would want us to charge them and then say, no, that's a crazy amount. So do they have a standard practice for
That's a good
admin?
question, Christie, I didn't ask her that, but it took me 2 weeks to get a hold of her. I should have asked her that, but I'll text her or something on that. okay?
10% would be fair, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Barry said he'd also be willing just to use that money to get an admin person. Not have me do it, but
But who's gonna pay for the admin person?
That's gonna go out of his grant.
not, yeah,
Right, but we're still paying it first, right?
Yeah.
So we would be paying for the admin until he gets reimbursed. And figuring that admin fee, we should think about the cost of money. If we're having to pull up $90,000, that 90,000 could earn interest somewhere,
Sure,
right? So
sure.
don't give money away for free.
Well, it's 30 days. What are you talking about?
Well, you know, Randy said it's less than that, but I would say 30 days is what we should probably expect.
Yeah,
You never know, I mean, I don't know who we send the bill to in DOLA. And I'm sure it's documented someplace who we send the bill to, but if it goes to Randy, you know, she's up to her hair roots in whatever, so then it's gotta be reviewed. Then if there's questions, they'll have to come back to us, and if it's on, and we'll have to get the answers from Barry or Round Mountain or whomever. So I'm just saying 30 days. So,
I guess my view is, sure, we need to look at all this. I sure hope it doesn't just befuddle everything and we lose momentum on this whole project, you know?
well, Bob and I were over to Round Mountain, last week, Thursday. I don't know if Bob's on here now. Anyway, last year, we were over there last Thursday and we got the names of, we talked to Dave Schneider about everything. I just talked to Dave this morning. We got names for engineers and people who do a survey that he's worked with and likes. So we're in the process now of putting together an RFP for engineers and surveyors. So, yeah, I was talking, and Randy from DOLA said, we just follow your own purchasing policies. And so all we need to do is get a bid, request for a bid, rather than an RFP. I don't know how long in our big document or whatever, but we've got language in the grant that describes what we want to do in terms of feet of excavation, size of pipes, manholes and everything. And also said that we could do taps, water taps. Hell, we should have put that in our bid, the DOLA. Because then we could have gotten a bunch of water taps too, for that project over there.
Oh,
I didn't see it. Well, I mean, Caleb should have, anyway. So that's where we are. So we're trying to kick, I said this, when we were in that meeting with Dave, I said, I'd like to get this thing done by fall, and he just started laughing. He said, maybe next spring.
well, he's had a lot of experience with
Yeah.
this.
He does,
And, you know, they flipped us through a million hoops of fire,
right.
so,
So anyway, and then the other thing I need to brief you on is that Randy told me that Westcliff needs to own this for at least 10 years. So talked to Dave this morning and he's familiar with that. And,
What do you mean, Paul, physically own it or own it?
physically own it for 10
Own
years.
what, the property?
No, the sewage water system. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a lease agreement together with Round Mountain, that they lease it from us for, let's say, $1 a year. They're responsible for everything. And then at the end of the 10th year, it'll be theirs. Can we cash flow it out or you? Okay, anyway, I don't know what's, but he's gonna have his attorney draft that. We don't have an attorney.
So I've noticed, yeah.
Yeah. So that brings you up to date on that. So a lot has happened in the last few days. And of course, Bob ducked out of town. He stuck this on me.
He's catty wobbling.
I don't know where he is.
Taking a
So,
zigzag route to Tennessee.
yeah, I thought he was in New Mexico or something.
Well, oh, that's the zig and the zag.
Yeah, that's the big city.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, that brings you up to date where we are, but you know, my whole point is we do need to cash flow these things. We do have a grant that will cover, let's say we're gonna be reimbursed for everything that Barry spends. And then we're gonna be reimbursed out of 750,000 or so. Will we be reimbursed like 80% of that? So the rest is on us, which is pretty cheap, actually. So, but cash flowing, you know, it's about a $750,000 project, Melanie, wouldn't you say, in that next of the woods? So there's 750,000 that we're gonna have to cash flow. What we only net out, we're gonna, you know, we're gonna get most of that back, 80% of it back, but it's still, you know, we got $280,000 here in surplus, if you will,
Which account are you looking at?
Capital.
capital. And so if we, assuming they pay us quickly, that 280 could probably suffice in terms of, we don't have to get into any of the funds.
What if we assumed it was 60-day turnaround?
Yeah, could do that.
And how long is this grant gonna go? Could we compute what we need on a monthly basis?
I don't remember how long Barry said it would go,
Oh, Barry,
like the entire grant,
Yeah,
the
I don't
entire
know.
project
well,
itself.
once he gets the whole grant, then he will be up and running. And then he's supposed to get monies to support all that by, we need to talk to him about it, but once he gets the grant, he has people in place and so on and so forth. I assume part of that will be a staff of some sort, and then he'll be up and we're out of it.
Right, so if I understand it right, we're talking about this monthly or bi-monthly billing. We pay DOLA and then we charge the county and the Silver Cliff to get our money back
Yes,
on this sort of flowing basis. So what I'm wondering is, in terms of having to come up with a wad of cash, that maybe we put in some account or something, maybe we're only talking about, what, 2 months float,
yes.
and that would probably protect us too, right?
Well, certainly for berries, it's easier to estimate in terms of, because it's $100,000. On a bigger project, you know, you're gonna have an engineer, maybe an engineer may take a month to do the basic engineering. And we pay him, but then we've got the excavation and everything, purchase of pipe, all that, that'll be on the person who, the company that digs the whole thing, that's be on them. And then there will be an engineer on site to supervise it, to make
I
sure.
mean, now you're talking about the,
The big
Silver
project,
thing.
yes.
well, I thought we were talking about
Yeah.
keeping the float going for Barry's grant to set up.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I mix them together.
Yeah,
Because it will get us together, so, I guess the bottom line is, we just have to cash flow the thing, and we do have reserves beyond this $280,000, obviously. But we could park this, well, I don't think you have to need to park it anywhere, but it's in our funds. So Aaron just has to know what it's gonna be to, cash flow this thing. And so, I think we have in our plan for the engineer. I don't remember, Melanie, I don't know if you can go get that document, it's on my desk. Thank you.
Well, on the sewer project,
Yes,
we have the grant, right?
we have the
Yeah.
grant, but we don't have the money at all.
I mean, how come?
That's the way DOLA works. DOLA, you spend the money.
Oh, it's the same deal.
It's the same deal.
So when do you think that would actually commence?
Well, the first leg of it will be for the water sewer as soon as we get an engineer. So
Yeah.
we are in the process right now of putting out some kind of RFP or RFQ to get that done.
But that DOLA infrastructure grant was already, that's already on our capital plan.
Yeah. Which line item is
So we're
that?
trying to figure out, cause you guys are voting on Tuesday,
12.
whether. You guys are voting on Tuesday whether or not you wanna support Barry's grant. Isn't in here, so that's, you know,
Right.
we already accounted for the DOLA.
Yeah.
Cause Caleb already had that, you know, in the works.
And I couldn't hear, is which line item?
7212 on the capital fund.
Okay, the new town property, gotcha. Thank you.
So the, let's see if I get that in here. Design and engineering is, we put in the budget for, well, let's go back. 558,000 comes from state, from DOLA for the water sewer project.
Mhm.
We have to put up 186 against that. And we had to demonstrate that we did that. So
Yeah.
as we go through this, design and engineering is gonna be $64,000. We'll send, if let's say it comes all at once, we'll send DOLA a bill for $64,500. They're only gonna pay their portion of that. This is like 75% or 80%. I have to do the arithmetic on that. And then, so that bill comes in for 64. We have to pay the whole 64 of our cash. And then DOLA pays us back for their portion of that.
I got it, I know.
A lot of paperwork that doesn't need to happen.
It is, but it's the government. And so, I mean, the whole thing is 744,000 and change, almost 745,000. But 558 comes from DOLA and 186 comes from us. 25%, that's what the match is. No, this better be a good question.
That'd be a good question. Are we gonna, with everything else that's been happening with all these grants that I've heard have been canceled and things like that? Are we gonna end up in a situation where
No,
these grants get canceled?
this is funded.
This is fun.
I talked to her yesterday about that.
Okay,
Can
okay.
we get that in writing?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
Cause I got an email from the state that they are canceling all RMS grants, so revitalize Main Street, so we were gonna do phase 2 of Powell Avenue with that. And totally cut, so
Well,
something.
I talked to Randy yesterday and she said, you're really lucky you got it when you did. So I think maybe after the next round of funding, that's it.
We just got.
Now Barry says there's another round of funding for what he's trying to do. But I don't know. He hasn't got the grant yet, has he? So he may not even get the grant.
And that could be cut, the next round could be cut too.
Yeah.
So on Tuesday's agenda, you guys will be voting on whether or not you wanna support Barry, because part of that grant requirement is getting a resolution from the town saying
Yeah.
that we support being the mechanism for it, so you guys will be voting on that Tuesday night.
Can we put a contingency in there that in case his funding is cut, that we're off the hook?
Say that again?
If we,
Yes, it says, assuming funds are available from DOLA.
yeah,
Yes.
what I'm saying is if we say, yeah, we're gonna do it, and then the funding gets cut, our saying we're just gonna do it, he could still hold us to it, couldn't he?
Not if he wants to cooperate with us, but
Well,
you
I
got
know,
a
I
point
know,
there,
but you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, sure, I would imagine we can put that in.
I went to the Silver Cliff Town Board meeting last week and they voted to do it. And Eileen didn't know where the money was gonna come from,
Sure.
so they don't have any money. So Barry is pushing this really hard and, you know, he says he can wait for another round of funding. I don't care. Then he's got big plans that do not involve us. He wants to do $1.4 million of construction over there in Silver Cliff. Hooray for him. I don't know how they're gonna do it or anything, so.
Sure.
So what we're funding right now, or what Barry's wanting us to facilitate, I guess I would say, is his, I'm gonna say assessment, but that's not what I mean. It's just like a grant to get that nonprofit kind of set up.
That's correct.
And then once we admit, if he gets that grant and we administer it and everything, then he's on his own.
Yes.
Okay, so we really just need to worry about finding that money for Barry and making it clear that we are going to charge for administration costs.
Yes, and we need to find out what, and to your earlier point, how much we can charge for that. So can you call Randy? And call her, and question into her, or text her.
Hey, I have a question relevant to this. As the illustrious leader of the Westlake Park Advisory Committee, do we have buried in the budget? I thought $40K for Hermit Park,
We're trying to find that out. Hermit Park?
Hermit Park bathroom.
Yes.
Oh, is it in there?
The last meeting that we had, the town was basically talking about doing nothing at all with the parks and not even doing the bathrooms.
So I guess what I'm getting at, and we have a meeting coming up.
Tomorrow,
Yeah, well,
Friday, yeah.
Friday, yeah.
It is in capital, it's line 9012.
And
Yeah, but last.
Oh, I see, I'm sorry, I didn't see that note.
Hermit Park restrooms, 80 grand.
We have 80 grand.
No, upgrade with the restrooms is 80 grand, and planter boxes and trees 40, and the lights 20. Which I thought we had, at the last meeting had basically said, no, we weren't gonna do anything at all with the parks. Because there wasn't the money there, and you may not even do the 40 grand that you were thinking about that you would cost to do the bathrooms.
Well, I guess my suggestion was gonna be to the Park Advisory that we cancel that for this year, given all the ambiguity and these higher priorities.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, I can take it out. I only remove things that for sure you guys said go
Yeah.
on, like.
Right.
So we can't make any decisions here, right, today?
No,
No.
like we can't amend it today, but I can have this working draft and make changes, which
So
these
that'll
discussions.
give you 140,000, unless you decide later on that we can do the bathrooms, we might be able to do them in the fall. Maybe.
Well, my recommendation to the Parks Committee was gonna be, it's so ambiguous. And we know we have to come up with this other stuff. They're surviving without it for now.
Right, yeah, we're in good shape, I mean, Just Price is all taken care of now.
Right.
All of the plannings that they were gonna do this year, I think they're finishing them up sometime this week.
Right.
So, there's really nothing else planned unless we have the money to do it,
Right.
so.
So Parks Advisory only advises anyway, and we can make a decision, but it seems to me, Paul, that this is a source of, potentially a source of capital.
I mean, we could push it to next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm on the agenda for, I don't know if I've been laid up in bed until my painkillers are working, so I don't think I ever filled out the paperwork to get on the board's agenda meeting.
No, we
So-
can do it after this. I
Okay.
don't have to get the packet out
So-
till tomorrow.
Well, you already did that, didn't you?
The agenda, but not for it to be on the. I have the agenda for your meeting on, not for,
I'm talking about the board.
Oh, for the board,
Mark
board
wants
meeting,
to-
okay.
Yeah, just after we're done on.
Okay, so there's some bucks.
Mhm.
There's some
So
bucks.
you want me to remove that whole 140,000?
Maybe the Parks Committee might wanna hedge it a little bit, but certainly I think forget the hermit bathroom for this year.
I
The 20 was for streetlights,
Was for what?
streetlights,
On,
West Cliff. Continue replacement of the non-dark sky friendly lights.
okay,
Oh, there's 20K.
That's what that
Oh, is
20
that,
is.
is that up to us, or is that Black Hills, that is that? Do we have to pay for those?
Yeah.
Is there lights? I don't remember, do we pay?
Well, on the 20 some odd lights that we did a couple of years ago, Black Hills. The town paid for the lights. Dark Skies paid, I think, $5,000 toward
Yeah.
those lights.
Yeah,
And then after they were installed, we found out they were too bright.
right,
So Black Hills worked with us to come up with a solution to
Right.
lower them.
right,
And it didn't cost us anything to
Right.
lower them, I don't
that's
think.
right.
Black Hills came in and did all the labor and engineering to figure out how to bring them down about 40%. So, but the 20K here was put in last year because there's still quite a few streetlights in the town that are, not dark sky compliant. We have
The
82.
one on the corner by our house, across the street from yours, Catty Corner.
Huh.
Did we change that out?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the prototype that ended up being the one everybody accepted.
Right,
You know, we went to great lengths to inform the public, come take a look at them and all that, so that was done.
All the lights in Old Town, 4th, 5th, 2nd through 6th Street.
Yeah.
Were all modified.
one thing I'd like to do is get the streetlights down Main Street,
Yeah,
cause that's two different colors.
there's 2 different colors and some of them are
Mega right.
real bright. That's what, I think that's what a lot of this 20 was for. Was to make Main Street.
Well, it's too bad
You
Neil.
still pick out that, you could still pick out 120
Yeah.
and leave that 20.
Yeah, I wanna be clear, Parks Advisory just advises.
Right.
yeah,
Okay, did we ever, Melanie, did we ever find that document that's transferring the Bluff Park to us and some sort of grant monies in there?
I couldn't find anything.
that just happened last year, didn't it, Paul?
Yeah, just this spring. We've been having a lot of discussion with the Bluff Committee about that. And there is some, I had thought that there was town money given to the town to take care of stuff, but actually what it is, there's a pot of some money somewhere that I can't remember the name of it. There's another committee that's in charge of it, the well-being of all the parks. Community
I don't
Foundation
know
or
if that's
something like
a
that.
Jackie Hobby Committee or what, but I mean, it's sort of out of our control.
Right, it's, I don't think it is, I was thinking that it was something that was given to the town, and
I did
apparently it
too.
is not.
Chuck, I did too.
But apparently, according to their emails I've seen back and forth between Jackie and Karen Foley and various people was what I thought was incorrect. The town wasn't given a pot of money.
The
But-
community foundation
Community
has
Foundation, that's it.
Was
a
that,
pot of money from a private donation from a citizen.
Right.
And there is a bluff agreement and it lays that out. It says the town is responsible for utilities, watering, et cetera. Recognizes that the easement is held with Colorado Open Lands.
Yeah.
And the money that the community foundation has would be for
Improvements.
example, if they wanted to put a gazebo up or something.
Right, right,
That's what that money would be used for.
right.
We wouldn't have to pay for that, we
No.
just pay for the watering, upkeep, et cetera. And the only reason the community foundation has that fund is it was part of what that private citizen they wanted it within the community foundation.
Plus they get money, I think, donated to them from the Spirit. Campaign,
Right,
too.
like they didn't wanna risk, not that we would do that, but the town using that money for
Whatever.
whatever, so that is what, there is a bluff agreement and I'll email it to you guys.
Yeah.
And then but then that money, it would be the Bluffs Committee that would be kind of making a decision, like if they wanted a gazebo or something there, that's
Right.
not something that the town would be deciding.
Correct.
And if Dark Skies wants, if they want more benches for people to sit on, you would go to the Bluff Committee.
I'm thinking that's what we're formulating right now, is that improvements would go for. You have to go to the, oh, this is such a tangled one. You have to go to the Bluff Committee, run it through them first, and then if it's an agreeable with them, then it has to go ask and see if the community foundation is okay with funding it. And then it gets to come to the trustees to see if they wanna do it. Like, I'm gonna be on the agenda for some signs for Dark Skies down there, and that's what we're fighting with, is trying to get all these little pieces in the road that you have to do to get something, so everything is legal and hasn't stepped on anybody's toes.
So Jackie, oh, I'm
Go ahead, no, it's all right.
I was talking to Jackie Barnes, some time ago.
I'm gonna send Jackie Hobby too.
Okay, and she thought in the paperwork that the Bluff Committee was to have a liaison committee here, which she figured was the Parks Advisory Committee. And I knew nothing about that. Is that in the writing anywhere?
So I'm on the Bluff Committee, they wanted someone from the town, it used to be Kathy
Yeah.
Bryce. And then now it's me,
So you're the liaison,
yeah,
okay,
And I'm on that committee too, so.
yeah,
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
and, you know. Chuck, you can send me some of the Dark Skies stuff, cause I am a board member on the community foundation.
Right.
And at our next board meeting, I can
Now,
bring it up.
Karen Foley sent an email yesterday detailing exactly what Colorado Open Lands' role in all this, because they're in there too.
They have
Like,
the
like
easement,
they have to, we've already gone and had them look at where we were gonna put the signs and make sure they're not gonna interfere with the view and all this. So that's another step in there.
right,
But, and the email was discussing that, there was probably very few people in the town or in the county that even has a clue of what all these little
yeah,
things are, little pieces of the pie to get something up there is. And we'll probably discuss it at the meeting next week, because I know that Jackie's bringing she's on the agenda.
Yeah.
For 3 signs, and also replacing the main signs for the Bluff Park, like the main sign that says Bluff Park and the rules and stuff like that, and then they're adding 2 signs, one or a group of signs, one's history of the valley, one's flora and fauna of the valley. They already managed to get the mountain sign in, it's already down there, that was before any of the land transferred or anything, so, and we've been working, the Dark Skies have been working on the 2 astronomy signs for God knows how long, and.
I brought this up, last time you brought up the Dark Skies facility. We charge people to use our parks, and I don't know how we wanna handle that with, Dark Skies.
You mean for the telescope shows and stuff?
Well, it's just that if you're expecting a town to maintain any of that, in terms of, let's say, Neil graded the road and everything, got all that done after you were here. But if you want us to maintain that, then we gotta get the money from somewhere. And so when people have an event, it's the Bluegrass Festival, they have to pay to use our parks. Or if you have a wedding or whatever, I'm having a birthday party and they're fleecing me on this, the mayor.
Not quite.
I had a wedding there and I got fleeced.
Yeah, see, there you go. So the point of it is, the reason we charge to use the parks is the parks have to be maintained. And they gotta be watered, they gotta be mowed, yada, yada. We all know that. So if Dark Skies is expecting the town to do anything, on that property. It is on town property, it's part of, what's the, what other park we got next to,
Summit.
Summit Park. It's in Summit Park, so I'm sure people use our restrooms, et cetera, and that's what they're for. But the point is, Dark Skies and us have to sit down and figure out what we're gonna charge and how they're gonna raise the money. I don't know if you have dues or anything
No,
like
there's
that.
no due.
Because, I mean, we got the facility there, the benches are there. A lot of that was donated. I think most of it was donated.
Everything.
And, so the point is that now it's there, it's gotta be maintained. And,
Well,
yes,
say something, and just what Kathy told me is that there was an agreement with Bob Wolf, because it was given to the town, that we would always waive the fee for usage of that park.
For the solar.
Yeah.
Well, solar and the other, Dark Skies doesn't gain any, we don't charge anything for any of the star parties or anything that we do. They do reserve star parties from this year, from Sundays through Fridays. And that's usually 8 to 10 people every night, and nobody gets charged. Occasionally, we might get a $5 donation for something, but that's all done as free for the public. Then we do the star parties on the weekends for the public. Don't have to have any reservations, and like the solar party, right? So nothing that Dark Skies does down there is directly benefiting the Dark Skies, other than letting us talk about what Dark Skies is, okay? The
What happens if
only
you're-
dollars that come out of it from donations, they usually, almost all of it goes to the STEM scholarship fund, okay? So I know that there's an agreement. I know I have a copy of it on my computer somewhere, but there was an agreement that was signed by, I don't know if it was you or Christie, with Jim Bradburn, that was an agreement about Dark Skies, and whoever the mayor was in 2015.
Got the same thing you're talking about?
I believe so.
It's probably the same agreement.
I don't remember signing like that.
And
But still, it could have, well, if you could find that, check that
no, I'll
out.
find, and another thing I learned over the course of the last week is that the SJO has 100% always been within the town's purveyance since it started. That little
SJO?
plot of land, the Smoky Jack Observatory,
Ah,
the observatory and the land right around it has all been part of West Cliff's.
Well, it's in Rand
Grants.
Park,
Huh?
or it's in,
Summit.
what's that, what park? Summit Park, it's all part of that,
Right.
which is a park right next to it.
Bluff, right.
So anyway, if you could dig that document out, I'd like to see it, and, and what we did, what Neil did, didn't take much time at all, it's to grade that out, maybe put some more, road base in or whatever. But what happens, the building needs to be repaired, or the telescopes need to be repaired, how are you gonna fund that?
Well, what we have done in the past, when the telescope needed repair, because we have had to effect repairs on the main telescope a couple times. 2 years ago, we had to pay $2,800 for a new circuit board in it.
Yeah.
But, we haven't done any real maintenance on the building. We were noticing last time Steve, McAllister and I were down there that, we probably ought to restain this building here, So that would probably be done, we would probably get a work party together to do that. But, related to what we were talking about a little bit, the, work that Neil did, unfortunately, Neil did the work twice, because he put some stuff up there, road base or stuff. And that night, it came in and rained like hell, and it washed almost all of his stuff down off the edge of the hill. So there needs to be a culvert across the top of there. So I have a board meeting with the Dark Skies next week, Monday. I'm gonna ask them, we might need to buy a culvert. Buy a culvert, give it to the town and say, this'll fix this, because Neil said, I don't have any culverts, so, or not any of the size that need to be there. So I mean, it's not like Dark Skies is, oh no, you guys gotta do everything.
Well, it'd be good to, it would be good to define what the town will do and what Dark Skies is responsible for.
Right, now I agree with you 100%. Now, in previous years, well, when Caleb was here, he was doing weed control down there, going down there and spraying for weeds and stuff like that. But there wasn't a whole lot being done.
I think it would be good to clarify that relationship and not just that, but if Dark Skies is responsible for, just weed control, let's just say, that whatever is being used is approved by our Parks and Maintenance Department. You know, so there needs to definitely be a reciprocal relationship and
You know, in terms of the general idea that you brought up, Dark Skies has participated in the betterment of the town. I mean, the $5,000 you guys kicked in for those residential lights and a fair amount of manpower on several lighting problems that Dark Skies has committed to. So I think they've been generous in terms of work in kind. And that park's kind of small compared to the whole bluff too, isn't it?
Well, it is small, but it has to be maintained. The
Sure.
grass needs to be mowed and on and on and on. So, you know.
I mean, isn't that what
yeah,
the
so
elections
you
were?
can make an argument that all of our parks contribute to the town.
Sure.
And I remember when, I can't remember what his name was, Dave, I think, was the town manager. He went to some committee meeting someplace with a town manager, and he says, we have 5 parks. And they said, 5? We would kill to have 5.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it draws people in. And I go by Memorial Park every day, and there's always kids playing there and so forth. And across the street, at Hermit Park, there are also a lot of people there. There were people there yesterday, there was something going on there. The bluff, I don't see so much there. I see people walking their dog. By the way, I talked to Gary Taylor yesterday because he mentioned this to me a while back. He's gonna perform, Smythe and he are gonna perform this week at the farmer's market.
Mhm.
And cause he talked to me about having like a cocktail thing in the evening over there, like on a Sunday evening. I thought that, in Just Price Park, I think that would be fantastic. And I said that, he said cocktail thing, and that stirred my ideas. So bootleggers, they have to get a permit from us, but they could set up a bar.
Mhm.
And the further into the park, because they got that area right by the restrooms where people eat.
Yeah, now.
So if they could go further into the park and do it, we could control it better, because I don't want people walking around Main Street with cocktails.
Right.
But anyway, so he's working on that, and I think that'd be another great draw for the community during the summer,
Mhm.
residents and out of towners both, so. All right, we're really drifting way off course here.
Can I drift a little bit more?
That's Chuck's problem. That's
One more little
Chuck's
drift.
problem. What?
And we had discussed, like I said, we do all those star parties down there for free, don't charge anybody for anything. There's a place out in I think it's Utah, Bryce Canyon Park. And they have a similar setup, they have an observatory and stuff like this. They charge $192 per adult per session.
God.
Right? And they're so busy they can't see straight.
They're appealing to the people with bucks, aren't they? And
Well, I mean,
we're broader scope.
well, we're a broader scope, but we open our reservations, like we opened reservations up this year for the Sunday through Friday stuff. January 15th. By the second week in February, almost all of them were filled. And I had somebody cancel on Friday morning on my Friday session. And she canceled 5 slots. By noon, they were all filled. So there are people continuously watching it. The reason I brought that up is that if the town decided that we needed to remunerate them for using that, okay?
Mhm.
Well, then Dark Skies could possibly change their modus of operandus and charge a minimum fee for each one, for the Star Guide stuff, for what we're doing down there.
How many people usually have attended?
We have the target is 8 people a night. So 6 times 8 is close to 50 people a night, or 50 people a week, right? So
Charge $5.
$5 or something, right? And then if the town charged, you know, a certain amount for using it, that would, the Dark Skies people would be slitting my throat for yapping about this. But both parties could benefit from it.
Well, it's a heck of an asset.
It is, and I mean, right,
To Dark Skies and to the community. But if you charge, I mean, that would be good. If I were in charge, I'd advocate it because then you can build up a pot of money. That doesn't necessarily need to go to the town, but
right.
for other things too.
We lost our primary donor for our scholarship program this year too. So we had been doing a pretty generous scholarship of $5,000 a year for 4 years for each person who wins. Well, we've lost our primary donor for that. And we have enough money left in the fund for that to cover that for 2 more years worth of scholarships. But after that, we're gonna have to probably severely, decrease our scholarship deal unless we come up with a way to generate money.
Do you know of the people who reserve, how many are out of towners?
80%.
So they're probably spending money at.
You come in here and we do, oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mark.
No, I'm saying, I wonder how much sales tax they generate.
Well, I know that the spreadsheet, we maintain a database. When they make a reservation, we ask them if they're coming in, are they coming from obviously from out of town? Are you spending the night? Is the primary use of your visit to come here just for this? Do you plan on eating? It's like 3 little questions, right? And almost every one of them are spending the night somewhere. They may spend with a friend or somebody that lives here in the valley, but they are spending money on food. We have no idea how much because we don't ask them that. But there are some data that I know that my buddy Steve, who runs the SJO, they collect that data so that they know how big of a draw we are.
Yeah.
And I think he shares that with the tourism lady.
I guess, Paul, I understand what you're getting at. And we do have to maintain the parks, but I kind of think in the grand scheme, it's not that big a deal. It's not worth messing with, I would think.
Well, I'm not a member of Dark Skies, but I would think as an organization, they'd want a little pot of money for whatever.
No, I mean in terms of they're paying us for maintenance.
Well, yeah, what if, it seems to me like that, asking them to pay to mow the lawns or whatever, weed them or spray them, whatever, and maintain the road, charging them a fee for that is fair, number one. And it's realistic, and I think they would want us to do it. Where does that stop? Who is responsible for the building? Painting it, staining it, roof slides back, that mechanism, how is that still working pretty good, or,
Yeah,
you know?
but I mean, we maintain all that. We go down
I
with
understand
and that type of stuff we've been doing.
But I think there still needs to be something in writing, because it's not
I
about
agree.
this board, it's not about this board, or it's not about your Dark Skies board right now, it's about the next one.
Right.
And if the
10
next
years.
one comes on, in 5 or 10 years, and they're like, well, that's supposed to be the town's responsibility. We need to have some sort of documentation in place
I
that
agree.
shows what the relationship is.
I will dig up that document. If I don't, I think that I have it on my computer. If I don't, I know that the secretary of the group has that documentation.
Would Jim have that, or is he still involved, or?
Jim,
I'm sorry. That's, my brother died last night.
oh my.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, I'm in the meeting, sweetheart, at the town, so we'll talk later, okay? All right. Bye. Okay, bye. He was, my brother was in a nursing home, he had Parkinson's, and he was in hospice, so.
Well,
Anyway,
Make it easy.
but I'm glad he's gone because he was suffering, but I'm not glad he's gone, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
Anyway,
So can we kind of look at the capital fund as one and then the general fund as another? And over here on the capital fund, we just basically found 120,000 with the parts, and then I'm looking at these other things that are highlighted, and I'm assuming this front end loader lease is that's a solid number that can't be changed. The EV installation and the solar, so I'm showing and I don't. I'm showing that basically we're in negative, like what, if I take that 120 and I subtract off this 20,259 and this 27,550 and this 80,000, then I came up with, let me see if I saw that.
Those highlighted ones are the things I added, because we didn't have the front loader lease on there, and I didn't have the bill for the EV station, so.
Well, the EV stations, we did a grant on that. It's a grant that was supposed to get our money back, I can't remember, Kathy would remember. To me, it's like 90 grand that we invested. Does anybody remember that?
No, but once it's operational, we're supposed to get the bulk of that back.
We get
Yes.
the money from the credit card.
Well, no, I think a block of money goes back.
There's money we put in,
There was a grant, yes, I
and
remember
when
that.
that was hooked up, then we were supposed to get our money, I don't know how much of our money we get back, 90%, 80%, whatever it is, we get it back. But hell, that's been 3 years now.
Well, we've been hung up on the power. As far as I know, it's almost ready to go, electric wise.
Yeah, I mean, Neil and Melanie have been trying to figure it out, I mean, that started way before I was here, and Caleb.
The 3 transformers are installed.
Yeah, we need Adams Electric to come back out, they didn't somehow it didn't do its updates or whatever, so he has to come back out and do it to get some numbers to send to ChargePoint so they can activate it.
Right. So it
So we're
starts-
just waiting on that.
Somewhere in our meeting in the last couple of years, there was a guy from Pueblo that came up and explained all that. He was sort of a middleman. Should be in the minutes somewhere.
Kathy should know and call her too.
Yeah.
We'll just, I mean,
But,
we know where we are.
Yeah, we still got a chunk of dough wrapped up in that. And then we need to count the number of cars. It's a little cool, how many people will actually charge there.
Charge point
A year,
to
or
do
whatever, yeah, no, we just need a pool here. Put that down. 5, more than 5, less than 5 a year.
Oh, I keep telling you, you go to Denver, there's
You're not
e-cars
in Denver.
everywhere. And they're the ones that come here as tourists.
They're
So
not in the.
No, they can't make it up here on their charge.
Yeah, right. All right, let's keep moving on.
Has Silver, does anybody know if Silver Cliff's charging stations are operational?
No, there's not, they're not.
The only charging stations I know that are operational are the ones at the,
clinic.
well, the clinic and also what used to be the Chesley Village,
The RV park,
the RV park, oh yeah, the RV park has a couple, and then the guy that, John Johnston's old place.
The hotel.
Hotel, he
Yeah,
has
yeah.
two.
They got theirs hooked up. We've been working at this for several years. It's just,
But
So is our capital fund okay? I didn't see is this acceptable now that we've taken this 120 out, or are we needing to find more money
Well,
somewhere?
we still have a net
we
surplus.
don't need to find any more money. I mean, we moved stuff around. We haven't spent it yet. So if we're taking the 120 out of, what was that for the bathroom in the park or something?
Yeah. that adds to that 280 down there, that brings us to what, to 400, is that, did I do the math right?
Yeah. So that's net. I mean, so that would be quote, a surplus if we actually did that. So,
so if you support Barry, it would be
Come out of there.
out of that, and that would.
Say again, Aaron?
So like, if you guys vote to pass Barry's resolution, that is gonna come out of that 280 grand.
so it'd be $5,000 to come out of there.
But I mean, facilitating the grant.
And then for facilitating the grant, there'll be some cash flow issues until we get our money back from DOLA. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I guess what I'm hoping is if we hold the 120 for cash flow purposes.
Well, if you wanted to, I mean, we got $280,000 in surplus right there.
Right.
So you wanna put the one,
Plus the 120.
plus 120, that'd be
24.
44.
Yeah.
I don't know that we've ever had that kind of surplus in our capital fund,
we always build it up,
Right.
but still. And then we can decide, next year, we say, wow, things went okay, we can do the park restrooms out of it.
Randy, that makes sense to you?
Yeah. Christie, are you comfortable with this?
I am, and I think as far as if people balk at the bathroom thing at the park,
Across the
you
street.
can, well, there's across the street, but people, you know, it used to be that we would have one of the trash businesses set a porta potty over there for the season. And that can always be done if everybody's really stressed out about people going across the street. But I say people are really slowing down more, going down Hermit with the crosswalk, with the sign. I mean, I think it's made a difference, so.
And the other bathroom, we converted it to full season use
Right.
last
That's
year,
true.
so
So,
you have
we'll have to do it this year.
So then we're back to the finding the Round Mountain contribution, which I know you say, well, we said 5, but we did make a vote and we voted to give them 10, so I
Yeah.
feel bad saying,
That's fine.
never mind 5.
So that goes to the county, not, because
Well,
the county's the one that funded the money. And so we can do that if we want.
Yeah, and I think that's important if we're really thinking that in future, maybe these 3 governments can cooperate better, that we stand by that. Well, that was a start.
I mean, the
Well, I
round,
don't think I don't think Silvercliff's gonna get in,
Well, maybe so, Paul.
I was at the
Well,
meeting and I asked.
Is that any different than ever?
I remember, who was the mayor before, Jess, oh crap, what was his name?
Steve Laszlo.
I can picture him,
I can't
who
think,
lives
he
on
had a
Fifth
gas
Street.
business, did he hear, propane business, whatever his name was. And he had a real gravelly voice, and they wanted $500 from us for something collectively together, and he says, yeah, they just probably need to balance their budget. 500, whatever it was.
so keep in mind, the Round Mountain 10K will come out general, not capital.
Right, yeah, no, I've moved on,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I just wanna make sure.
Okay,
Should we put a line item into this capital budget for the administration and stuff? That what we, so that the 120 doesn't get pissed away for something else?
I mean, I
I don't know, does that
can.
make sense? Maybe not all of it, but
I think we can get, we can do that, but, we have a budget, we usually stick to the budget. Unless we wanna go over, it's a board decision. I don't know that we need to do that, Chuck, because, it's not gonna be a lot of money, but anyway. One thing that Neil's been talking to me about, he wants 2 new dump trucks. These are old, state trucks that were running, and, has he talked to you about that?
Yeah.
And, I don't know what it's gonna cost, but we have a lease on these, or they're not lease, but they're, lease payment, and it's on, I can't remember, it's on here someplace. I hear it's running a lower lease of 20,000. Well, I'd imagine it's gonna be another 20 at least, or maybe more, there's a few more trucks. So this is a kind of a lease purchase thing. So we need to get his input on that, and,
For next year.
well, he wants to know, I think, but let's ask him, can you get him in there? Are we about ready to wrap this up?
As far as I think, don't we still need to find 10,000 and then make sure we've got the money for the $6,000 in lawsuits that we kind of weren't expecting in the general fund?
Well, we found 120.
But that was
That's capital,
that was
yeah.
capital improvement, that was the capital.
Oh, yeah.
budget.
So
you can read it backwards, right? There's a line item from transfers.
for the lawyer line, I put unknown because we're getting a new attorney and we don't know what they're gonna be charging, and it will include that 6,000 for the lawsuit, cause I asked the auditor if we needed to make like a separate category for legal fees. They said, no, just put it under lawyer. So, that's one category we don't know until you guys can choose an attorney.
Andy, has anyone put any letters in yet?
Not yet, the papers just that started running it, and they'll run it through the end of this month. The deadline for submissions is July 1st, and then you guys will conduct interviews after that, and then, you know, make your decision. So for a good month, we're not, you know, we don't have an attorney.
Hey, Aaron,
So there's money
You-
off.
you might call KRCC, the radio station and NPR station and, because they had an ad months ago from some supporter that was a law firm that specialized on small town law. Somebody might remember who it was.
Okay.
It's one of their supporters, they call them. So that might be, it was out of Springs.
Right, didn't you also get a name, a company, a firm that does Salida and?
Bob gave me that, and he told them that we posted an RFP,
Okay.
and it's on our website
And I
too.
think, I forget who told me, there's like a law firm out of Denver that does a lot of small municipality.
We, maybe you weren't, but when we did the RFP, which we finally got fight with, there was another firm which I really liked, we all liked them. It's sort of from Denver. So, you have all those, and so we,
Yeah.
all of us, so. So we have, you've highlighted a lot of things on the operating statement.
Those are all the changes from our last
Okay,
workshop, like the pay increases for employees.
Yeah.
That changed all, obviously, the payroll taxes. And then, you know, Tabitha, her contract ended, so it changed that.
all right,
The IT needs to be increased because of all the ADA stuff.
well, we've got, I'm just going down that total administrative personnel. We estimated in 2024 at 433, now we're at 421 now. So that's a savings there, 12 grand, so that's a good thing. But we still have to look for an attorney, and we don't know what that's gonna be, so. You know, it's gonna be at least what it was last year, so you can put that number back in there. I would put 24 grand in that line at least.
Plus 6 to settle the lawsuit.
Yeah, I just put 30 to make it be safe.
And also, we haven't paid Clay yet for this whole year.
He's got to send us a bill.
He just, again, doesn't reach out, and
Yeah,
I
Well,
told
what
him,
was-
you know, we need to pay you, and he thought he was already an employee. And he never signed the employment contract after Paul signed it.
What was his pay last year to date? And maybe it would be safe to make sure that that amount of money's in there in case he does show back up and want his money, though I kind of wonder, because I think he's kind of in the hot seat right now. I don't know if he's just gonna try to lay low on
He
things.
thought he was already an employee of the town, and I said, no, you never signed it. You never gave me the stuff to put you into QuickBooks, you know, social security number, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, well, I haven't been keeping track of my hours because I thought I was an employee, and I said, well, you need to backtrack and
when did we make him an employee?
you guys,
Like 3 months ago.
Yeah,
2 or 3 meetings ago, and then he just never
Well,
signed it, so he's not an
the
employee.
ball's in his court.
But
Not
we
gonna
should
pay.
budget, we should still put that money there just in
I think
case.
so.
Yeah.
We had 24,000 estimated for 2024. I don't know what we actually spent.
We spent 13,000
Oh, yeah.
something.
Well, that was
Just
So-
under 14.
Yeah.
I just I plugged the 24 back in. And maybe a little more, maybe a little less, but at least we'll know, we'll have it in there. So you put that back in, and then the 6,000 that we spent on lawsuits,
30.
so 30.
Well, what if we did, for legal, what if we did the 24,000 plus the 6,000 for the lawsuit, which is 30,000, and then figuring Clay may or may not show up with a bill for January through May. If I take that 13,456 and average that out times 5 months, that's like $5,600. So what if we just put 35,000 in that line to be
Okay.
safe?
So the 24 is for our potential new.
Right.
Right.
The 6,000 is for the lawsuit
Right.
and 5,000 in there for Clay in case he
Right.
decides to show up.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
What line is that?
That is 80/30.
Now, when you said the 24, is that assuming a full year's salary?
Well, I mean, would a new guy, is a new person gonna charge more? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you
It's a start, I guess.
Yeah.
Clay's hourly rate was pretty, it was compared to the other law firms that applied 5 years ago, he was the lowest hourly rate, which is probably why you guys heard with him. I wasn't here then, but it was 5 years ago, because I found the old file.
He kept it the same too.
Yeah,
He did a raise.
so we realistically probably will be paying more than him, especially if we have some hotshot Denver law
Yeah.
firm, you know? But look at what.
But I think that Christie's notion, we budgeted, well, I don't know what we budgeted for 24. Guess we probably had a lawyer, but we put 24 in there plus the 6 that we've already paid out. That's 30. I think we just ride with that myself, so. We're not gonna, see, the new attorney's not gonna start until at least July. We haven't even interviewed anybody yet, so. All that, so maybe 12,000 goes to the new attorney over 6 months. You never know, so I think we have sufficient there, but Clay is he's gonna have to send us a bill. Do whatever he does.
At what point as a government, like if, let's say we go into 2026 and he still hasn't given us his bill from the beginning of 2025, at what point do we not have to pay him for that? Because we've now changed our.
What month did he put in his resignation thing?
Last month.
So that was May, right? So legally, he can claim January through May. Because
No, I
we signed the agreement, he just didn't.
Right.
So he could claim, he go to court and he could claim, oh, I just overlooked that, you still are on the hook to pay me.
Well, I don't wanna be I don't wanna be head of the department or anything like that. He sends us a bill, we'll pay him. If he
Right.
calls you up, we'll just say, send us a bill, because you didn't sign the contract, send us a bill, and we'll pay you. We'll leave it at that.
No, I'm not,
Have you written him to that effect?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Okay.
Like multiple times.
So, we don't know.
I mean, I'm
Just making
ready
sure.
to pay him and we can all part ways, but
The
like.
ball is in his court.
right,
Right? So,
And I think I think he was paid for January, so it'd be February through.
I think he didn't go on our payroll till February.
He
He
didn't
was
go
never
on our payroll.
He was
Well,
a
I mean-
contractor.
Potentially.
No, I understand that, but I mean, his whole idea of being a town employee was supposed to start in February, I believe. On memory, but we'd have to look that up too. But look, he's an adult. Yeah,
right.
He
so,
either wants his money or he doesn't.
yeah,
He
exactly.
doesn't need it, you know.
Evidently.
I've always figured he was overwhelmed with what he was working on.
Well, I think he had too many things going.
Yeah,
He's
and
military and
Five towns that he was working. on.
5 towns, and now he's the assistant DA over there. Come on,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
A lot of things on the plate.
So, anyway,
So then, I mean, all of those taxes and stuff, that just had to change because of the new wages. and
Right.
everything.
So,
So
yeah,
there's
that
nothing we
was-
can do there.
Yeah.
so this 421 then would jump to 451 on total administration and personnel, right?
Yeah.
Say that again?
So the 421, 429, 459 that we see for total administration personnel, we're putting 30 back into the lawyer column that would jump to 451. Now, we don't know what the new attorney's gonna charge. But, I mean, we've got it in there. So we're cool. I mean, that $24,000 was an estimated amount for a whole year for attorney's fee. So putting in 30, covers us for the 6 we already paid out. Okay? And, another 24,000 for the new attorney or what Clay is gonna bill us. So,
And the reason Kathy, cause I looked back all the years, Clay averaged 13,000 to 14,000 a year with his hourly. But Kathy started putting in higher numbers like the 24 grand because more towns are getting sued on a regular basis, so. That's,
That used to be
you know.
like an interview question about that kind of stuff, cause it's,
yeah,
how do you
so
feel about executive sessions?
I think, you know, we should always have a cushion in that category, cause we never know what's gonna happen.
so
advice-
are we all okay with 30? No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, let's move on.
And then this number for IT, where's that at with?
So they're still, they just put in the firewall to all of our computers. I mean, they're still working on it. All of our systems were completely outdated. And so we're playing major catch up. On top of all the ADA compliance stuff, the reality is we have to have a higher amount for IT because starting July 1st, all of our documents need to be ADA compliant. And bigger towns are hiring like a single employee to do this or a whole company to do this. And so with just Melanie and I, we're gonna be using a portal through the state to basically upload our packets for planning commission and board of trustees, and they will remediate it. Cause we literally don't have the time or the knowledge. Like, we took some training and it is straight up like computer programming. I mean, it's crazy. Like, we can do simple Word documents, but our packets that have graphs and maps. And so that is just the reality. And starting July 1st, towns can get sued if things are not compliant. So unfortunately, we need, you know, that increased IT money.
So is that,
So is that a fair number?
I don't know, I need, CBS hasn't finished like their whole revamp of our system. There's always gonna be two, it's called Common Look, softwares. So that allows her and I to remediate documents. That's always gonna be 5,000 a year for each license. That's always gonna be there. The 5,000 for IT support, that is from the state, SIPA, and they're the ones who will remediate the packets, but it's per page, so I mean, you've seen some of our packets, they're huge. But this is just the reality now, it's a state House bill, we can't.
You're either gonna pay it on line 8,300 or you're gonna come back up here and pay it on 8030. If we do it wrong. The attorney.
give somebody another ammunition?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go
Exactly,
So I will have a more solid number when CBS is totally done with all of our security stuff. I just kind of like threw 20 grand in there just
You have
because.
that.
We can always, we're gonna have to amend the budget anyway, you should know.
Right,
by that
right.
time.
Right,
We can put it in there, so I'll leave it at 20 right now.
yeah, I mean, this ADA stuff, it's nuts, I mean, it's just. You know, it's really hard on small municipalities where there's only 1 or 2 employees. You know, Denver has the money just to hire,
Right.
you know, a whole
Do they
to
though?
do this.
Do they really have a?
And, you know, we're on the clerk's listserv, and a lot of the towns have hired like a part-time employee strictly to do remediation.
You would think that maybe some of the rural towns could get together and hire one person amongst 2 or 3 towns. You know, that would
Share.
create like a full-time job for someone,
Yeah,
just amongst 2 or 3 communities.
Do our like minutes and agendas have to be ADA?
everything.
Whatever that means.
Everything. So I'd gone the grant a while back to hire that web developer to make our website compliant.
Yeah,
And last year I'd gone a grant to pay for the 2 common look licenses for last year. That was just a 1-year deal. So I keep an eye on the SIPA grants and apply for what I can, but they're kind of like, once the town of West Cliff has gotten something, they're making sure they're giving it to other
yeah,
towns.
they gotta jump.
But I keep an eye on the grants.
When you say that things have to be ADA compliant with the package, does that mean that it has to be made such that it can be zoomed in so somebody who has poor eyesight can see it?
A blind person, so there's,
It has to be described, like,
they hover over,
like the header, and it will have to be the header for things. Like.
So it would have to be like
document,
enunciated?
Or like a picture, a table, it has to be a description of it, it has to, and it,
it's like.
Is there like no end to this stuff?
No, there isn't. It's a government.
It's crap.
It's a unfunded mandate.
And so we had to put an accessibility statement on the website, we have the Alliant badge.
I need to see the federal government. I don't know how much of their stuff is like that.
Everyone has to
I know, but-
statewide.
Okay, all right, are we through here?
So,
I knew you'd bring up some.
no,
There's another-
I just wanted to know, so since you haven't heard back from the CBS people yet, then should we not amend the budget at our meeting next week and maybe wait and do it in July or
Yes,
August?
right.
We have to do it.
So we're not amending it, okay.
We
Yeah.
we also have to have a budget workshop, maybe in July, to talk about next year, what we as a board want to see done. Because you know, staff, if we let the staff do it, that's fine, but they're gonna have their projects in here that they wanna do. And then do we as a board wanna do something? I keep bringing up trees on Main Street, but nothing ever happens. I brought it up to Caleb, brought it up to everybody, trees on Main Street, on the south side of Main Street, we have no trees left.
Yeah.
I think Neil's view was they've always been doomed due to insufficient light. I think that's what his take on that was.
We had trees,
No.
we had trees and on the town property. We had $40,000.
Okay, there you
So
go.
that was, but we're cutting that.
Took that away.
We're cutting that now. So, you know, next year.
Where are we cutting that?
Is that part of that 120?
Yeah, that 120.
Yeah,
Trees in that planter box. That was $40,000. And then.
And honestly, it's
upgrades.
awfully late in the year now, I mean.
It's too
It's too late now.
can't-
But my point is, lack of light, yes, they get plenty of sunshine, there's not, you know, trees grow in shade too, because they do get sun, it's not dark. And I walked from the bakery, you know, the old Sugar and Spice, I walked all the way down that street on the north side, and there's all these places that are just now dirt and weeds, trees used to be there. Trees,
Right.
and it makes that's one of the appealing things about Main Street Walk is the trees,
Remember, on the north side of Main Street,
yes.
there is a business that has us shut off the water for winter time. On the north side of Main Street, okay, between Second and Third. Every year when they turn the water back on, all that water is frozen into the stuff.
I'm sorry.
So, you know, when you're talking about the ground not warming up, that's what kills your trees.
But it's still, what we maybe need to talk about budget for 2026 is that we
Hello?
need to do some sort of beautification
Yes.
in those places that used to house a tree. maybe
Yeah.
don't anymore. Maybe we need to look at more planter boxes or something
That's,
that makes it look
that's,
nicer
that's what
than,
all this stuff was.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Paul
that
had
was-
identified a tree that was growing on
Discussing it.
Second Street over by the theater, he said is a very low light tree. Remember Caleb said he was gonna look into that, but I mean, that's.
Well, yeah, Ing was the one that was coming up with what sort of trees would be best. But, you know, you still.
Those trees on the east side of the theater,
Yeah,
are
but-
thriving.
Yeah, yeah, but
Ing's
they
aware of
also,
those.
they also get,
She's aware of those.
yeah, they also get the sun, more sun, and they also get the reflection off the building back onto the ground. So that area stays actually warmer than, say, the south side with everything that's facing north. Those trees on that sidewalk. That stays colder. That area stays a lot colder. It doesn't warm up as quick in the
He needs a
summer.
paper mache tree.
But the point still is that for 2026 and probably before, like in July, we really need to talk about what are some viable options to keep that north side or I guess that's the south side of Main Street looking better than it does right now with a bunch of empty
All right.
lanes.
Mark's Advisory Committee.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is. We've been talking about that for a long time now. And it's also maybe we put more planters over there, so you have more ground coverage, foliage. And instead of trees too, you know,
Are you talking about for next year's budget?
for next year.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
because
because it was
it's
actually on, it was actually.
Well, we need to, you know, think about, it. We put in the budget, nobody does anything. Neil didn't do anything. Caleb didn't do anything.
Well, that's the reason why, because we got rid of Caleb and he was the one that was working on that. So,
Or not.
or not, well, I'm not gonna get into that, but anyway, that's, so we put it on there for next year on the budget, and we say, okay, this is something we've talked about for years, we need to do it. And I think we'll bring it up, at the meeting on Friday
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And so when we're talking, like when we meet in July or whenever about next year, and also who's on the planning commission now with you?
Brian,
Brian, I forgot, yeah. So shouldn't we also be getting, talking to the planning commission and seeing what their priorities are, you know, things that they want done, and then should we sit down and prioritize, like beautifying Main Street, maybe that's number one, I don't know, and we go from there and kind of put things in order, that way if it gets to be too much, or, you know, we're able to
The last time
we're
I,
able to let employees, not only employees, but citizens know, like, yes, this is our priority right now. We really getting Main Street looking better is our priority for 2026. And the employees know, and then we're able to kind of nag a little better because we prioritized things.
That would be right, and,
We're also gonna have to fix a lot of the,
we have to give them a chance to try to, if we say we want trees or whatever we wanna do. And then we have to give them a chance to try to figure out what that would cost.
who's
And
them?
we'd say, wait a minute. It's too much, we can't do it. That's before, that's.
What do you
part of the
mean by
budget.
them?
That's a part of the budgeting process.
Right.
So we need to get started on that. Maybe in July, we'll have another budget workshop for
I
that.
mean, we need to amend this year's budget first, because we draw those numbers. So once we have the attorney set and the IT stuff, then we can officially amend this.
So
Because I
hopefully,
draw those numbers to start creating 2026.
hopefully we could amend this in July, and then maybe at the end of July, or the beginning of August, we could schedule a budget workshop for 2026.
Just one more on that. I talked to John Van Dorn and, because I wasn't sure who you meant by them figuring this out. His view, at least when I chatted with him last, was that the planning commission would look at the overview of development, and as far as he was concerned, where trees go and why is up to us.
Maybe like the Parks Committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, again, only recommends, and so eventually it's here.
when you're talking about amending the budget now, well, you're gonna have to amend it too. at the end of the year. So do you really wanna amend it now, or do you wanna wait a couple more months, you know?
Why
I mean,
would-
I'm done with that into your,
I mean, unless we
Course.
change anything else, why would it need to be amended again?
why would it? Because it's not, everything changes.
Well, we know that, but that's our decision. We can make those decisions.
Yeah,
and
you
say,
can, yeah, you
This is what we have
can, you can
budgeted.
budget, you can amend it twice, it doesn't matter.
We don't,
I mean,
we don't
that's-
need to, it's just moving, it would
Doesn't
just be moving money around, as long as we're not going above anywhere, and we
Yeah.
just maybe need to move it out of this pocket into that pocket.
I mean, it's really the IT stuff and the attorney that we need. You know, I did make a note. On the third page of general fund 8505. $6,000 was set aside for a new CDL driver, but we don't need that, and we aren't replacing Caleb, so we really don't need that 6,000. So, I mean, it's not a lot of money, but.
Right, and the trucks that Neil wants don't require CDLs.
That's the whole reason he wants new ones, cause it's a pain in the butt to deal with.
Well, it's like a 4-day process.
It's longer than that now.
Yeah.
It's a month long.
Month long.
Yeah,
That's
There's
ridiculous.
there's your state government again.
so I mean, I feel like we could take out that 6,000.
Don't we have in here some, don't we have some money in here for the board? Where that trustees, $4,000. What do we spend that on?
Is that Christmas in July?
Christmas,
Yeah.
Christmas in July, which,
The water,
Do it.
yeah,
yeah.
cause Alpine's closing. So,
No shame.
It's gonna be in Paul's backyard.
yeah,
We could do it at the park, we could just do a potluck.
well, you don't want me bringing anything.
I'll bring, I don't care, I'll.
We can do it up at the Tony's.
Tony's, yeah, that's where Ron Mountain Dew.
Rotary moved their Christmas deal, back when I was part of Rotary, we moved our Christmas deal up to Tony's and they did very adequate.
Yeah,
But I have another question.
Yes.
Okay, since it's become obvious that the 120K that we were chopping over on we're recovering on the capital fund is for for trees and for beautification, maybe we need to take all 120 of that. Maybe we were only trying to cover 5K for Barry stuff over there, right?
Well,
But
and
The whole
plus.
grant.
and
Well,
Ron Mountain.
our grant
And
is
Round
what-
Mountain and that, but instead of taking all 120, leave 20K in for the trees.
This
Too late
year?
in the year.
Too late,
We're gonna have problems.
but we would have to buy them this year to get them in next spring.
Then,
wouldn't we?
and if we're gonna do that, then we need to talk to Ing and set her up with when would be the best time to get trees in and to get them planted. And, the holes gotta be dug, you're gonna have to do a sidewalk repair, are you
Well, I
gonna
was
want you gonna want a concrete skirt
I don't
around,
wanna-
things like that.
Stop. I think it's too late to plant trees, it's almost, well, it's not almost the 1st of July, but, you know, we're gonna be planting them in the fall, basically, and we wanna plant them in the spring. So, but I like your idea to, we'll budget for that for next year and so forth, so we'll put that in the budget for Main Street beautification. It's gonna be important. Sure, so is that it? Is that all that's gonna come up? Christie, are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay,
I have another note.
I'm sorry, Chuck, you had your input.
Over here on the third page, where we have the net revenue and expense,
Yeah.
or it has this, the $50,781. That's gonna be reduced by $30,000 because of the unknown for the lawyer over on page whatever. that
Well, yeah,
is.
cause I had the note that said after 10K around Mountain, it'll be,
Yeah, you said it's gonna
40.
drop to 40, so now it's gonna be 10.
yeah, so I mean, the general fund is like done for the year, no more spending, I mean. Cause yeah, if we have 30 for the attorney. Yeah, that's low, I mean, we'll have
But,
the 6,000 for
We still have
CDL.
healthy reserves.
no, I know that, I see that we have reserves, I mean, I'm just, my government, trying to rob Peter to pay Paul and all this flies into my head. Because there's this,
Say Paul, hey Paul, no, I don't.
No, we don't pay- no, that would be
I haven't
Paul
paid
Senior.
yet this year, I'm like, wait, I'm gonna pay.
but the 8811, that 100,000 contribution, that's going over to this sheet.
Yeah.
Right,
So
that's why giving 10,000 to Round Mountain was kind of
in the
a
top.
lot, because, now we're.
Okay, I'm not gonna
Is that it, Chuck?
get that.
Okay.
It's my budget.
Art, you gonna keep yakking like you've been all day?
No, I keep talking.
Damn it, I wish you'd be quiet.
I'm just listening. I have one personal announcement, I'm not gonna run for mayor again. I'll be 80 this year, my term's up in.
Next year, next April.
I'd be 85, if I'd probably be. I wouldn't be any good at it, so, I'm just saying that, so anybody who wants to run, can run, and, I'll support you for a certain amount of money. And, I love this town, and, I've been on the board a long time, and, I served, under Christie and Jess, and what was his name before Jess? Christie, remember his name? I can't remember,
I do remember him.
Yeah.
Lived on Fifth Street.
yeah, so.
We need a little.
Oh, I was gonna say-
So, right?
Should drive me nuts.
We need a
Oh,
little.
shoot, little.
It's right there. Over there.
Yes, it is. It's right there.
Oops.
And his son.
Excuse me. Son's the one that started the fire
Yes.
over there, and he.
Dale?
Dale.
Dale Kelly?
Yep.
Yeah, Dale Kelly. Dale,
Yeah, killing it.
yeah, Kelly, that's right.
I remember burying his dog.
Remember, Art, you've been there right with me the whole way.
His dog died, and I had to go bury him.
Yeah,
He's
so,
on the gavel yet.
but I'm up for re-election, I'm up this year, so. I don't know who else is up this year, you, Art, I think is up,
Art, Randy,
Randy, is this Chuck?
Oh,
I'll be up because I just filled.
Yeah, you are, so,
yeah, but depends on what.
I shouldn't be up, I just
Also,
ran 2 years ago.
Okay,
Also,
are we adjourned?
all right. Barbie,
I just misheard something. So who's up for next year then?
Art, me, Randy, and Christie.
I don't think I'm up.
Oh, look, there's a spreadsheet somewhere, cause you guys
Thought
are
there
all
was 4 of
staggered.
us. Oh,
I'll find it.
okay, yeah.
No, I'm not.
Are you adjourned?
Cause I took Lori's place. And she had just won election in 2024.
Oh, that's right, so you were after the
I'm
last
good,
election.
I'm good till 28. You guys are stuck with me.
Okay,
It's 4 years, isn't it? 4-year terms?
it's, well, it seems like a sentence. It's only 4 years. No,
We call it a term.
I love working with these guys, well, some of these guys, and, so,
I know what you're talking about.
anyway, we have fun together and won't be here and bother all that, but, I've always enjoyed this job. I enjoy working with Kathy and everything, so, it's fun, It's all in my business, hopefully at the end of the month, so.
Golfing it is then.
Well, hopefully, and, my wife wants to move to Savannah, cause that's where our son and his family live, and new baby and all that. So she was in Savannah last week,
Uh-oh.
and she's on a plane right now to Savannah.
She's looking for houses.
Well, so last week, 7:00 in the morning, and when she's in Savannah, she never calls that early. And she said, "Did you get my email?" I said, "I haven't even opened my computer." Open it up, so I do. There's an email, I open it, there's a little attachment, she says, "Click on that," I did, and there's this building. It's a duplex. I said, "Well, what is this all about?" She says, "I put a bid on it."
Did she really?
Yes.
Glad to see you're the man of the family.
And
New business up there.
I said, well, she says, "We probably won't get it because there's 5 other bidders, it's in probate and all that." Well, But my son calls and said, we got it.
Wow.
Guess you're moving, Paul.
Pardon me?
I guess you're moving.
Well, I'm not gonna leave, I love this place in the summer.
It's become another
a great place to be.
snowflake.
The weather's great, you know, it's just a great place to be. But ideal, I'd spend 3 months here, a month, 4 months in Nebraska, 4 months in Georgia, and 1 month in Mexico. Cause we got a place there too. That's ideal, I don't know if I'm gonna get that done. I'm 80, how many more years am I gonna be able to do this? My brother just passed away today, he's 86, so,
Yeah, but he was sick and you're not.
yeah. So,
Physically.
so.
I hope you like the humidity.
Pardon me?
Hope you like it.
Yes, I've been down there in July and August, I'm pumped, so it's sticky.
I remember when I jumped off the airplane going to boot camp in Orlando. Climbed down that jetway because they didn't have the enclosed jetways in the airports back then. I was like, what is this crap I'm pulling into my lungs? I had never been in humidity before.
So anyway, I'm just not gonna really, yes?
Do you want to adjourn?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, you wanna run the meeting?
Yes,
Well,
maybe.
then, all you
It
gotta
might
do
be
is,
more
I'm
efficient.
not running it, but you run.
No, you can't run it.
Thanks, folks, for coming in, appreciate it.